this very important part is to put a D-series compressor on a B-series engine. Any of you CRX guys, you ever had the enjoyment of doing a fuel pump? That was kind of scary. I lowered the tank down so much to get the pump. Tank started to slip. I thought it was gonna fall on the floor. Luckily it didn't, but a little scary right there. All right, so what was I saying? Remember the EGs and the EKs and the DC2s, you pull off a panel and you sit in the comfortable of the back seat and just remove the pump through a hole. CRX's got to drop the tank. Now, just to let you know, it's hanging on this, by the way, just to let you know it's not hanging on the wire. I used to do hundreds of these things on the floor. Jack stands, laying on the ground, jack under here, lowering it down, working in here, gas running down my arm, gas running on the floor, laying in the gas. I would like to say that was good times. Also, what's funny is the CRX pump, look how massive these are. They're actually different to the new style. The new style has a plug, so we have to cut those off, solder on a plug, and modify this a little bit to accept the newer style pump. All right, for size comparison, this is the pump we're going to use. It's a GSS 342. It's the one we put in all of our cars, good up to 450 wheel horsepower. Well, it's overkill for here, but if we're going through the effort of changing a pump, I mean, we could put probably a stock GSR pump or an S2000 pump in this, but we're going to the effort of changing the pump. Always put the best pump in you can. That way, future mods, if this customer says, you know, I want to put a supercharger or a turbo on here, we're not changing pumps, so we're going to go ahead. See the plug right here, if I can get the camera to focus. That plug is different to the two eyelets that the pump has, so we're going to change that and change the bracket to hold this. Alright, so I'm just going to show you this just in case you CRX guys are doing this. It's trying to share a little bit of information with you. So, like I said, the ring terminals are what holds the wires to the CRX pump, and this runs pretty much the same clip as every other Honda has. Everything from 92 and up has switched to this, and even all the way to like 2016 as far as I know. Any of the obviously fuel injected are the same. Direct injection is going to be different, but what I did is kept the same connector eyelets, so it's the exact same size. The ground is actually slightly larger than the positive, a little bit smaller diameter, so I'm keeping them the same. So I cut those off, opened up the crimp, soldered it so it's a good connection. I don't want to put a crimp in the middle of the wire. I just don't feel good about that being submerged, so I'm keeping it basically the way the factory did it. The pump is close to the same length overall. If you was to put it here, it's pretty much the same length, but you see the diameter difference. So that way these will go right back in the same place. I put the same piece of wire loom, this little clip I'm going to put on there just so it doesn't move around. Again, I don't know why it's there, but I don't question when Honda does stuff, because they usually have a pretty good design on this kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and put it in there. I'll show you how it looks. All right, there's a quick look. The wiring is back. It goes right back in the same position. That way we feel nice and safe about those wire connectors. So this is how the bracket looks, and it fits. Of course it fits, but it's always nice to see how it looks. And it comes with the ability to use both compressors. Which compressor is it? Sandon and what? Putting you on the spot. Yeah. Sandon and the other guy.
Probably Mitsuba or something like that is usually what these things
It sounds like it, but yeah, that's nice. Drilled for both. The bracket fits, the AC lines fit. Look at that. That makes our job so much easier. And again, big thanks, Brian. I really appreciate it. I'm going to owe you a taco. In fact, if you know Brian, if you see him around, buy him a taco. I might just send him one in the mail today. Alright, just a quick update. I do want to report the CRX belt fits. That's the right diameter, or the right length. The fact that it fits with a Type R crank pulley. I'm not going to say yours will fit, I'm just telling you ours fits. And at this point, it's a bonus because we have had so many things not go quite our way. Let's just put it that way. If you want a CRX, if you've worked on a CRX, you know what I'm talking about. If you used to change a headlight bulb on a CRX, the new bulb doesn't fit. You got to modify the bulb and the car for it to fit. There's a joke in there somewhere. Do it again. Alright, so next issue is the plug for the distributor is not the same. This plug looks like 2000 to 2001. This one is like 97, 98. It looks the same, but it's quite a bit larger. So I'm going to go ahead and find the connector that fits the distributor and repin it. And I think those two pins are quite a bit different. You have to change those, but go through our wire collection, find one of those. Alright, so this is the larger connector. The two for the coil there are the larger ones. The rest of them should unpin and change over. Those we're going to have to cut and splice in. You know what? Look how fantastic that looks. It looks like glass. It really does. And you know what's better? AB is right down the street now. It makes our job so much easier. If this thing wasn't so heavy, I would walk and get this thing. Seriously, this is heavy. So back in the day, this is how we used to do the shift linkage. You take a B-series shift linkage, mark it, cut it down, weld it, put it back together. A lot of aftermarket shift linkages on the market now. Makes your life so much easier, bolted together. Have a nice day, everything's good. 2 months later, shift linkage feels like it's loose. Take it back apart, rebuild it. So we're sticking with the factory Honda one. As you see, I'm gonna weld that up and it will be beautiful. Let me come up the ladder, have a look here.
I mean, there's no knob on here right now, but
That throws you off.
if you imagine too, your hand being the knob,
Yeah.
and at first, you know, I mean,
If you did come over?
yeah, because my leg's gonna be here,
Yeah.
so
No, that's perfect.
yeah,
And plus that shifter, that's the dogleg style that I always like.
yeah.
It makes it a little bit closer to you. Especially when you're 9 feet tall, you tend to be way far away and then you can't reach the shifter, so it actually makes it a little bit nicer. Nice, let me take a look down below. Let me go down the old ladder and you can do this again. This would be good training for having four-wheel drive trucks in here. Alright, do it. Oh, holy crap. Alright, let's try that again. Now the bolt is in. Yeah. Yep. Real good, everything's clear right here. Let's take it off, weld it, put it back on, and then of course, tighten that bolt. Alright, distributor is rewired. Everything should be good. Let's just cycle the key, make sure we don't have any check engine lights.
It's off.
No light? Does the light come on and go off like it's supposed to?
Feel good up there?
Yeah, I can hear it, but there's no leaks, anything. Tio, we're not going to put it on for right now. We're just going to run it just for a short second, just to make sure everything is good, because putting the radiator in there, you know what it's like on a CRX. Everything's pretty tight. Front mount has to go back in. We'll show you that here in a minute. Battery is in. We've built the intake. It just needs to be polished and put in. And of course, a few of the little dress-up items, but let's get a quick sound clip and make sure it runs.
Ready?
Yep. So just give you a heads up, this is a built motor, 11.5 to 1, skunk tube valve train, new bearings, new everything, and it's on a base map that I put together just so we can start it. Of course, you saw earlier adjustable cam gears. This isn't a finished valve cover, but it's the work on it, tune it valve cover. Alright, you want to shut it off? That definitely makes you feel better, doesn't it?
Yeah, no check engine lights either.
That's pretty good.
And the tack works.
Really?
Yeah.
Props to that due to the harness.
That seems to be our problem on every one of these phones lately, the tack doesn't work.
Yeah, and we always have to run an extra wire for the tack, and he's incorporated it in the harness. So props to that guy. Now, I'll look at the order. I'm not going to put blame. I might have clicked on the wrong plug for that, but other than that, this thing plugged in. This made the wiring harness part just as easy as could be. That couldn't be any easier.
Yeah, all the extra stuff, the VTAC and everything, just is a separate harness.
It's all,
goes in,
yeah, and
plugs into
it
the
goes
conversion
back to
harness.
all the right points right here. I did tell him I didn't want a VTEC pressure because there's a JDM motor. It didn't come with it, but that's where the VTEC pressure switch would be, and he has a harness. Obviously, that's added in there, but that's awesome. And again, all the wires fit properly. Everything lays like it should do. compressor is in, look at that. Nice. So we need to get the radiator in, put some water in it, put the front mount in, put the dipstick in. We can check more off the list. So we're doing OEM Honda hoses. There is a bunch of hoses you could use. Everyone makes one. Remember the hose, this is the 99 Civic Si, which is the same as the Integra Type R. Based on how the outlet on the head is, determines your top hose. Bottom hose, typically the GSR hose, Type R, B16, whichever works. On the CRX, this tends to be a little bit longer. So often what I do is cut this one down a little bit to bring the hose a little bit further this way so it'll fit. I'll go ahead and put it on and I'll tell you how much we're going to cut off that, just to let you know. Typically we cut it off this end so it doesn't rub the transmission. It goes something like that, and as you see it's close to that hydro conversion, so we'll cut it to bring that in. So you think traction bar would fit in and the radiator that's designed for a CRX would fit. It doesn't. It sits about ½ inch too high. So the little tab that was in the traction bar we're taking off, drilling a hole in here. We're going to put a little rubber, little spacer on there so the radiator has something to fit on. Joys are working on the CRX. Alright, so that's what it should look like after modifying it, and of course you want to make sure the CRX brackets go back on. Yeah, we're good now. So this is like the worst placement for the batch. It's kind of like a plasticky. It's got the Authenticity Skunk 2 sticker. I wish they would just put that somewhere else and make this kind of embossed in here, and then it would look good, because that doesn't look good. And as you see, when the radiator gets hot, that's just going to fall off and leave some goo behind. Same with that. So we're going to take that. Of course, it's got the Skunk 2 cap. That's a nice cap. We'll be happy to leave that. But the little logo things, you know, if they don't look good, nobody's going to leave them on, right? Isn't that the rule of thumb? Oh yeah, that leaves even more yuck behind. Alright, that's the end of another day. It's looking good now. It almost looks like it's come together. If you look at it, it's ready to put water in. The radiator is in, the hoses are on. Because the radiator hoses need trimming like we talked about. Fan still needs to be plugged in. We've already changed the plugs. Plugs are right there. And the one down here. AC compressor needs to be plugged in. We've got to vacuum it and charge it. Oil is in, trans is in. That's it, water. We can tune it, right?
Yeah, the things you said to plug in are actually already plugged in. I did it while I was underneath the car.
But you didn't plug this one in over here, did you?
No, because you just put that in.
No, the fan. Oh yeah, the other fan you did.
The other fan's plugged in.
That's right.
The AC compressor's plugged in, and the relays are bolted in, and all the wires are...
You think I would have known, because I put that fan on like first thing this morning. 8 o'clock this morning, that was my job right there. I feel like I've been here for like 2 weeks today.
Yeah.
This is such a long journey working on these cars. They're so much fun. People are like, how much to swap my car? I don't know, because the parts we buy probably don't fit and we have to modify everything. So it's looking good. That's it. We'll see you tomorrow.
So, all right, well, this is perfect. This is in the area. I'll check it out for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if you ever want to ride,
Ocean, the number 2 flags fishing. I just want.
All right, so the CRX is coming along. One thing I did want to show you is we are still shipping master cylinder braces. It's bright out here, by the way. Now, I get asked this all the time. So this is where our stuff is made. These are our master cylinder braces. I just opened these, by the way, but they are made in the USA and anodized in the USA, and our logo is obviously the correct logo. So we don't want to manufacture these overseas. I don't want to get into that. I'm not going to go into that and talk about it, but that's not what I am into. I would rather keep manufacturing done in the USA. I think it's the best quality, the best. Again, I'm not even going to go into that, but this was one of them they did. Is the camera focusing? You see how the logo's all messed up, and they used, there we go, they used the wrong end on that, which I'm so used to looking at my logo, and I've sent my parts out in the past to sticker companies and t-shirt companies and license plate companies, And I've had so many screwed up. I mean, I can glance at the logo and know when it's right. That's what it should look like. You see that? That's the messed up one. It's only one, but it's just a, you know, they used the wrong end mill. The ball was a little bit too wide. But this is some of the things that you deal with. Nobody talks about it, but when you manufacture parts, whether you do it yourself or you send it out, often things get messed up. And it just sucks. You're either supposed to, you know, eat that part or throw it in the garbage or give it to someone that, you know, isn't really going to notice. But I don't know. What do I do with that? Do I just put it aside and chalk it up to a bad part? Alright, so this is running, as I say, on a base map, which is just a map that we put together that is close for this setup. But now I got to put the S300 in the new ECU. So this is it, S300. Now there is a lot of options still, I believe, for OBD1 tuning solutions. I just stay away from the generic stuff, and I'm not bad-mouthing it. It's just like a tool. The better the tool, the better the outcome, and the easier the work. But this is still the best stuff right here. This is my favorite. It tunes much easier. It's not going to give you a bunch of problems. It's very, very accurate, very fast. So let's go ahead and put that in here, register it for the customer, and then we put it in the car and basically again start with a base map. All right, so that is ready. We can go ahead and plug it in. We're going to put the car in the dyno first, just let it run on the map I put together in the other ECU. It's kind of our test ECU, and then we can start tuning. We'll show you the process. Check engine light, see what that is. This is the base map on the 300. Check engine light is probably knock sensor. I'll heat it up too. I've got the wideband in. I got to turn that off. Alright, put that to open loop, disable heater, upload. Alright, gonna hit it. Let's log it real quick.
Ready?
Yep. Yeah, we're running the wideband on the dyno, so you gotta put that in closed loop. And then tune in open loop, sorry, gotta tune in open loop, get it absolutely perfect. And then when you're done tuning, put it back on closed loop. So we're gonna let it go through its cold start, let it warm all the way up, let it be happy. Hey look, red CRX. Still all the way cold. Oh yeah. We're 11.5 to 1. We're at 137 degrees. Cooling fans. We don't have our big fans on, neither one of them is on. It's maintained at 185 constantly. That's good stuff. Alright, so it's sitting at 97 degrees in here. We hit 190 at 129 foot-pounds, which is pretty good because it's kind of hot in here. And let me show you the exhaust again. So I think this is about 2 inches, kind of hot still, but you can kind of see by the size of my hand. It's a little exhaust. It's probably the one for the single cam. I think this would benefit from a 2.5 inch. But again, it sounds good, it's quiet, it's not obnoxious, it's got the inline resonator, it's got the muffler that goes right across the back with the dual tips. So there's room for improvement if he wants to make a little bit more. Plus, being extra hot, 97 degrees, I mean, we are sweating in here. Another Florida summer is coming, but you know, it's always best to dyno when the conditions are hot, and then you know it's going to make a little bit more power on the street on a cool morning. So the tuning is done. We're verified the motor's broken, everything is happy, it makes good power, everything is clean. We're going to just finish it off now. We have a different valve cover for it and the spark plug cover. And then of course he has the new speed bar. I'm not sure if it's going to fit. We'll see. I think it will from memories back in the day. But you never know. It should fit. And of course, you'll see by the before pictures. We'll talk about that. Let's get the valve cover on and then we'll do the quick before and after. Alright, so meanwhile, George is robbing something out of my car. What are you got going?
I'm at.
Whoa, whoa, what are you doing? Whoa, see what happens? See, that's why I don't show the CRX. People are ripping stuff off it already. Shift knob, gone. Alright, so why we're robbing the shift knob off my car? Because the knob that he has is like a generic aftermarket knob. You see the size of the hole there? It's as big as my thumb. It was all taped up and wadded on there. I mean, look, it's awful. See, as nice as the car is now, this has a Buddy Club shifter, by the way. That was a Buddy Club shifter. Look how nice and tight that is. I never talked about this. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. So we're going to put a nice skunk tune knob on there and sacrifice the one out of my car. Alright, so we always talk about this. We never like to drive customers' cars, but everybody gives us so much feedback. Hey, I want to get a sound clip. How does it sound? So we're going to run this up and down our side road. Use it as kind of like a test drive too. But just to let you know, the engine is a little bit heavier than the D16, so it's a little lower in the front. If I can get to a point where he is holding it still. You can hear those small fans, can't you? See, it's not bad. Just a little low in the front. Alright, so this is more for sound. We're not doing any top speed runs. We're not doing any VTEC pop-in and burnouts and all that good stuff. It's just for sound and get like a perspective of the car here. You get in the shade. It stands out a little bit better. Alright, so much for not going too fast, but I guess he wanted you to hear VTEC. Good job, George. I'll edit that one out. So, you can definitely hear that intake. That thing roars at it. That thing is loud. What a good looking car. I had this exact car. If you search through LHT CRX, you'll see it. I had the Tahitian green pearl, and it was pretty much identical to that. Slightly different wheel on the car. GSR, Jackson supercharger, then he changed to a B20 VTEC with a supercharger, and then it ended up going to a custom LHT turbo, and it like never ended. Alright, ready for the sound clip? It's not loud at all. Again, it could benefit from a larger exhaust, but the trade-off would be more noise and maybe 10 horsepower. Personally, we're going from 90 to the wheels to 190 to the wheels. Yeah, that sounds so good. That sounds so good. Very cool. Alright, let's adjust the suspension, change the valve cover, go over everything, make sure everything is happy. We'll call that one done. It really does. I mean, it says bro speed on the tips.
That's just the tips. There's no name anywhere else.
That's just the tips. It's a joke in there somewhere.
A dangerous game back then.
That's called a 50mm just the tip exhaust. Yeah, we measured it 50mm, by the way. If you haven't seen the series on the GSR, go ahead and click on the playlist. I don't know how many episodes I did, but I did basically a build on this car to show you what we did. I'm still planning to do like a season finale, you know, series finale kind of thing. Tie it all together, talk about the build, talk about what's in it, do a detailed review. But check this thing out. This is still probably one of the nicest GSRs there is. All right, I don't know if you can tell the clutch is kind of high versus the other pedals. You see, that's kind of awkward to drive. Well, little investigation. If you look under here, if I can get myself under there, these lights always point at your face, by the way. You see that? Here comes the third arm. You see that? I don't know if I'm pointing at the right thing. Okay, you see that little white thing is, and it's not missing. It needs that in there. That little white plug is missing. Now you see that? I just put that white plug back in. It stops the pedal early, and now it's got a nice thud to it rather than a clunk. And now the pedals are a little bit more even. Just makes the driving position a little bit nicer. So I know you can't feel that, but we finally have cold air. Let me move it away from the vents. It is a hot day today. I mean, it is real hot. Let me give you an idea of the temperature right now. So it is 92 today, and it feels way hotter. Finally got the air conditioning working. It's one of those things, it didn't have air when it came in. It was hooked up, but it wasn't blowing cold. And I thought it was the compressor because the low side and the high side were almost identical. It was sitting at about 80, which told me it was a compressor. And tried a new compressor and a dryer together, didn't fix it. Talked to an SC buddy of mine. He said, you know what, it's the evaporator, or the expansion valve. Took the expansion valve out, put a new one in, vacuumed it down, took it to my buddy. That way he could measure the Freon, charged it, verified there's no leaks, and now we finally have cold AC and verifying everything is good. Old idle valves usually give you an issue, but right now, testing it, making sure it is good and it's perfect. One of the tricks is to take the idle valve apart, clean it out with WD-40, let it sit, let this WD-40 soak in, because it's a plunger style valve. They don't use those anymore. Obviously everything's drive-by-wire for that very reason, much more accurate, and of course it's self-cleaning because you use it all the time. The drive-by-wire is the cruise, it is the throttle, it is the idle control. So we're good now, happy, nice cold air. I think he's gonna love this thing. Not only is it picked up 100 horsepower, he now has cold air. And just to give you an idea, I'm not going to charge him for this. I don't have a whole lot of money in it, but it's one of those things. I told him, we're going to do a B-Series swab, it's going to make this much power, it's going to run perfect, and you're going to have cold air. And even though it did come in with broken air, and he verified it, I want him to have cold air. That's something that's very important for a B-Series CRX swap. Not many people put the air conditioning in, so that was important to me. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. See you on the next time, and don't forget, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, and don't forget, enjoy your cars.